Sunday 24th of May here, still very dry, very warm for this time of year as well. We've had some quite strong winds for the last couple of days and a couple of showers, but not really much to speak of, and just thought I'd show you around and talk about some successes and some things that haven't gone quite so well. So looking down my bean canes here, you can see they're up and doing all right now. These are the second lot I put in. I was silly, I put them out, first lot of runner beans out right at the start of May, and it was caught out, cold frost, killed them all off. So quickly replanted in cells in the greenhouse and they grew up. And along this front edge here, these are my runners, having those nice and fresh. And on the back edge, these are slightly more advanced because I hadn't actually planted them out when that frost came, so that's why they're a little bit taller. These are Borlotti beans, and I use those for drying, and I've planted those at the back of the plot because I won't need to be accessing for picking until the autumn. Just in the middle here, I've got a couple of trays of peas that I've just chucked in. These aren't for the pods, so I just eat the shoots off these in salad. Very tasty. Round to the side here, taking a little while to get going. I've got some spinach plants. These are put in as plugs. I think it's just been so dry, they're taking a long time to get going. And beetroot plugs with those. Over here, got sweet corn, block planted. They're wind pollinated, so you need to make sure you're planting them in a block rather than in rows. And that's the second planting of sweet corn. I planted my first lot out start of May in the polytunnel actually, but mine's a second-hand polytunnel. One end of it doesn't close, and unfortunately that was the end that was facing north, which is where the cold wind came from, and it just killed them all. But this second planting, looking fine in there. Just in the middle, Crown Prince squash, that one looking good. And if I just walk us down here, you can see another squash. This is Marina di Chioggia, an Italian, very large, warty squash, but delicious orange flavour, really nutty. What I do with these, I discovered it last year actually, I chop them up into cubes and then freeze them in bags, and they store really well. And you know, it's just a great way of being able to take out a portion and use what you want. These squash are huge, you know, sort of 5-6 kilos. You could never eat a whole one in one sitting. So yeah, it's a great way of, you know, being able to just take out a portion at a time. Next to those, just got two little rows of peas. This is my fourth sowing of peas. I'm eating peas from the first two, not the third one, and obviously not this one yet either, but that should just extend the harvest. Succession planting, mean I get peas for a longer period of time. Marina di Chioggia squash here, this is well rotted, this compost heap already, and so I'll just grow that in there. I don't suppose it will take enough nutrients out over the course of one summer for me to worry. And over in the other one, there's a load of squash, not sure which variety coming up, obviously one that was put on the compost last year and where I've turned it over, it's exposed the seeds and they're now germinating, so I don't suppose they'll come to anything, but I might give them away to other plot holders maybe. Down to this side, this is my newer bed of asparagus. I planted this 2 years ago now, and they're looking really nice, and I've harvested quite an amount off of this. I know they say you shouldn't harvest them for the first 3 years, but I have harvested a few spears from each crown. I don't think I'll harvest any more now. I'll just let them grow on to make them stronger for next year, but they're looking really good. And just in the front, these little things here, tiny little lavender. So I took some cuttings last autumn when I trimmed the lavender back, stuck them into some pots, and they seem to have rooted all right, so I just pop them in there, make a little lavender hedge along the side. Behind the asparagus there, I've got these blackberries, and they seem to be coming into flower now, and yeah, hopefully get some blackberries off of those in a month or so. Coming over, These are my 2 strawberry beds. I just netted these. Just starting to see some strawberries forming, so I thought it's probably wise to get the nets on, because the birds do tend to get in there long before I ever do, actually. This is the first of my 2 greenhouses. This is the smaller one that I use for propagating, but it's also where I have my grapevine, and it's looking fantastic actually this year. This is 3rd year this has been in. I had 3 bunches of grapes last year. I'm going to have to be ruthless this year and cut some off, because there's so many on it. Absolutely dripping with them. It's looking really, really good. Still got a few things on the propagating bench. Some flowers. I've got plugs here. These are fennel and multicoloured beetroot, multi-sown. Then I've got some squash and some cucumber still sitting here, just waiting for a little bit of space to open up, really. When the broad beans finish, they'll go in. A few runner beans that are left that I hadn't planted, but I have noticed there's a couple of gaps slugs have been eating, so it'll be good just to bit of pop those in. Coming down, tray of sunflowers, pop those out probably this week at some point if we get a bit of time. A few Borlotti beans just left as well. And then into the ground here, I just spread some well rotted manure along the back, and I've got these are a couple of baby cucumber plants in there, and they're intersown with the celeriac, and these are just lettuce, hearting lettuce. Then coming along the side of the greenhouse here, these are a Japanese cucumber, spikier and crunchier apparently. Never grown them before, so we will see. Onions, these are Japanese overwintering onions, Senshu. They're the ones I seem to have the most success with, and yeah, probably a month they'll be ready. And I've interplanted those with some of those lettuce that I was just showing you. I just took the thinnings and just planted in between, so they should give another nice harvest as well. Then coming over, some overwintering red onions, more of the white onions, and some garlic as well. It's coming through. Looking really good here. Okay. Underneath these nets here, I've got 2 different types of variety potatoes. Got Casablanca at this end, Red Duke of York at that end, and then my next ones to start harvesting. And then once they're harvested, the leeks will go into there. And I'll keep the net on for the leeks. Actually, I have a problem with an allium sort of leaf miner. It's like the leek moth, but it seems to ruin my leeks. So I'm going to try keeping that net over and see whether that has an effect. So there's third planting of peas, just coming into flower, not producing yet. Let's look at that poached eggplant. Almost can't see the leaves for the flowers, and this is absolutely smothered with bees normally. Well, actually I can see some here. Absolutely smothered in them. They look, they absolutely love it. There's a guy on the allotment a little bit further down who has got 2 beehives, and they just love coming here. Bumblebees on the chives there as well, but it's just humming with bees. Lovely. And coming around here, so I've got spinach, a few beetroot in there. Most of them seem to die for some reason, but we'll see. And then some courgette. Very good. Coming around here into the polytunnel, and these spinach are looking much better. We're going to start having some spinach off of those, definitely. And in here's this is where I did the first planting of sweet corn, and these are ones that I hadn't planted out. They were still in the greenhouse, so they're looking much happier. If we come down here, there's the ones that I have planted out, and well, you can see. Second planting of peas, these ones have got pods on, looking really good. Broad beans, this is a dwarf variety, but they're not looking very dwarf. I think being in this polytunnel has enabled them to grow quite a lot taller. The smell is lovely, again full of bees. There we go, sorry, I was going to say no beans, but look, just the beginnings of some little beans starting on the edge there. looking fantastic. Spinning round here, I've got my last row of potatoes. These are a variety called Home Guard. These will be my first earlies to have, and at the other end are Charlotte, second earlies. Garlic. These are ones that are in the pot. Haven't grown them for eating, just for decoration, so I will let them flower. Beautiful. You can obviously eat these as escapes, they call them, but no, these are purely for decoration. They're a lovely flower, so I shall be leaving those there. We're chipping the paths now, actually. They just come back. So the paths were just grass, but they're so small and awkward, and it's just a pain, really. So I'm laying down card and laying wood chips on top, and hoping that just takes the job away from me, really. I don't need to be down here mowing all of the time. It's just a bit of a pain. The wildlife corner still looking great, and the pond looks fantastic now. Water's lovely and clear. The rushes have come back, the oxygenating plants come back, and just some more flowers here as well. Getting live with insects, wood, and nice hedge there as well. That Pyracantha's going to have a lot of nice flower on this year. Looking really good. A few little sort of wildflower areas that I do plant in around. I do try and encourage as much wildlife, in the corners that I can. It just helps the whole diversity, and it just looks really nice, doesn't it? I've got so many courgettes. I've planted a few courgettes just in front of the greenhouse here. Probably not ideal, but running out of space. Over on this side, again, another sort of flower herby area, and yeah, it just looks nice. Just looks nice. Into the greenhouse, and the cabbage are huge. I had one yesterday, actually. I've just see that gap there. I removed one, which will enable that one on the end there to get a little bit bigger, and it's freed up a bit of space around that tomato, which was just getting a bit leggy because it's searching for the light. And there's too much in here. I do plant things on top of each other. I get a bit carried away, but I'm starting to harvest things now, and I harvested my first carrots yesterday, and they're really, really tasty. Nice spring carrots, little baby carrot taste, delicious. First peas as well here, and I've had masses off of these. Yeah, just good. Get them planted in and yeah, be eating. So this is the gap where my first lot of potatoes were. These were rocket, and I've eaten all of those. Not huge harvests, but worthwhile, delicious. Needed the space, so they're gone. And in their place, I've got cucumbers and peppers. Sorry, they're not cucumbers, melons. Melons in this greenhouse. Yeah, it's sort of a small cantaloupe melon, and sweet peppers and chili peppers in there. In here as well, I've also got French beans starting to come into flower, I think. Yeah, looking a little bit yellow. And this is a brand new greenhouse. I threw a load of manure in here just on top of the soil, sort of turf, and churned up bits where I was digging to put the footings down the side. No preparation or anything. I think perhaps the manure wasn't quite well rotted enough, and the things are just having a bit of trouble accessing the nutrients. Interesting, just noticed on my garlic here, I was talking earlier, wasn't I, about escapes. I can just see some forming on these inside ones here. It's a hard neck garlic, so it will produce escapes, and take those off. They then put the energy into fattening up the bulb. But I'm going to let them get a little bit bigger, and I'm going to eat them. I must admit, never tried them, so interested to see.